This is Justin.
And this is Haley. You're listening to The Price of Avocado Toast.
We're a married millennial couple wanting to normalize the conversations around money. We want to hear about your highs and your lows,
The do's and the don'ts on your path towards financial freedom. Hi Toasties, welcome to The Price of Avocado Toast.
Whether you're a first-time listener or you've been following us from the start of this thing, we're so glad to have this conversation with you today.
Our house is on the market.
Officially on the market. As of this morning.
We're doing it.
We're doing it. It was really interesting that our realtor let us know it was up on MLS, but I got an email like, hey, there's this new Zillow home in your location, and it was our house.
I ended up getting it right after you did.
Yeah, it was just a trip. It was very surreal. It was like, whoa, I know that house.
No turning back. So today we kind of want to talk about the process so far up until now, because a lot has gone into this, and now, we're only live on the market for like 12 hours now at this point. Not even 12 hours.
Yeah. Well, when they're listening to this on Wednesday, it will be 2 days. We went live Monday, March 15th.
Yeah, we are recording this on Monday evening. By Wednesday, we might have calmed down a little bit, but there's just been a lot that has gone into this, and I kind of want to tell people about the home sale process. We did a couple episodes on the home buying process, but this is so different.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the HGTV shows too, kind of give people a false idea of what truly happens.
Oh, 100%.
So I'm glad that we're able and comfortable with being transparent, so other people know.
Yeah, we are real people with real numbers. And if you're just tuning into our story, hi, we're Justin and Haley. We have screwed up a lot with money, and we're just trying to fix all the things that we've done wrong. But we're doing much better. We're selling our house. We did an episode a few episodes ago on kind of why we're doing this. But the biggest thing is to get out of debt. We have a lot of equity in this house, and we're fortunate in that to be in that situation. But we're able to sell the house, pay off our debt, really start fresh with a clean slate. But it sounds way more simple than it has been.
Yeah, it really does. And that's not to say that it's the most difficult process in the world, but things come up that you need to be aware of and you need to be thinking about, and they take effort and time or money or all of that stuff. So it's important to be aware of it.
And no one, I don't know, perhaps people talk about this, and I just haven't really engaged in a conversation with anyone who has sold a house before. But I just had no idea really what to expect. And I think I kind of thought it would just be, like HGTV, we'll just make our house look pretty and put it on the market and let it be. But, buying a house is so easy. Especially if you're a first-time home buyer, it is a piece of cake. You go get your pre-approval. So that's the hard part, making sure you have the qualifications for the pre-approval. Once you have the pre-approval, you find a realtor, go see a house, put in an offer. It either gets accepted or denied. And we were denied, was this 3 times or 2 times?
I think this was home number 3.
I think so. Yeah, and then we tried to buy a house in early 2020 and got denied again. Mm-hmm. So we've been declined on 3 different offers that we've submitted into houses. So it doesn't always go your way. But, besides that, it's a really easy process buying a house. But selling it is a little more complicated. So what for you has been the hardest, I guess, part, or not leaving your family? That's a whole different part of this. Just selling the house. What has been the hardest part for you?
Well, I think the hardest part for me, and we're kind of just now getting into that phase, is the point where it's all up in the air.
The waiting?
Yeah. With the pre-approval, I know what we're approved for. I know what offer I'm putting on a house. I know the financials behind it. Now that we are financially literate and we understand what we're doing a little bit more with our money, it's hard to be okay, house is up and we're not accepting offers for a little bit, and our realtor's just going to collect offers as they come in and we'll review them all on one day. So I don't know. People could come to the showings and be like, we love it, and put in an offer that night and have our realtor holding it for us, right? Or we could get no offers by next week. And so it's this really uncomfortable spot of just waiting. So that's been hard. Even it's only been live for 12 hours, but even leading up to this, I was like, man, I wonder what it's gonna be like. I wonder, the market's hot. I wonder if it's gonna sell. We've got some stuff with the house that is in disclosures, so it's been hard to be like, well, I don't know how financially it looks.
For me, the hardest part has been like when you buy a house, you're putting your money into the house, and that's it. But we're selling, but we're still paying for things, and that has been hard for me to like really wrap my head around.
Yeah.
When you buy a house, the sellers pay for both sides of the realtor fees and everything. But now we're paying for both sides. So I'm like, wait, I'm way more invested in this than I was before. I want like top dollar. This is a huge like business transaction in my eyes. I do want decent people to come take over this home. I like this home. It means a lot to us, but also I want the most money possible. I don't want to just sell our home and be like, well, I know we could have gotten so much more. So for me, I'm just like eyes on the money and knowing how much we are going to be paying the realtors, which is not, it's between 5 and 6% depending on is it the brokerage that they work at or what is it?
Yeah, and the fees associated there within and who
Right.
your realtor is and stuff like that. Yeah.
Because they sometimes will only do 5%, which is 2.5 for each side, and other times it's 6%, so it's 3% for each side. So it really depends. We're doing 5%. So we've been doing all this math on like the hypotheticals of like we think our house will sell at this, but we have no idea. And now we're just sitting here like, okay, now we just wait to really find out where people come in. I think we mentioned what we were selling our house for or listing it for in a previous episode, but in case anybody's wondering, it's listed at $550,000, which is really expensive for, a 1,200 square foot house.
Welcome to California.
But that's why we're moving. So yeah, we could get, I don't anticipate this happening, but we could have offers come in at $530. We could have offers come in at $590. Like we have no
idea what it's gonna
at
look
this
like.
point, but regardless, it's going to be 5%. So that's a lot of money. That's tens of thousands of dollars that's coming out of our sale. So I'm way more invested now in like the logistics of the numbers than when you buy the house, like, hey, this is the budget, this is what we're doing, and that's it. Now I'm like, I'm on watch.
Yeah.
I'm on Zillow every day. Refresh. Not for our house, for other houses. I'm like, oh, this one went for $10,000 over. This one went for $20,000 over.
Yeah.
This one was on the market for 6 days before it went contingent. You never know. It's just a big waiting game for us now. Okay, so today we told the world, which is really weird because we told the Pote world like 2 weeks ago. But
Yeah.
today you told all your Facebook friends and family. We told our family in August or
they
September.
Knew. Yeah.
How was that for you, making it like, I already felt like everyone knew because of the podcast, but not everyone listens to our podcast. So how was it for you making that like super open to everybody?
Well, I was glad to do it. I obviously shared it with my colleagues at work, that I would be relocating and wouldn't be continuing on as a teacher at the school that I'm at. And they were super supportive. So I was really glad to share it with everybody else in our community because I have a lot of, my players' parents on there and other community members. And they were so happy for us and excited for us and obviously bummed. But, most of them are parents and they understand you do what's best for your kiddos, before you do something that's good for you. So I was really glad and proud to share and to receive the love and feedback of the community. It felt really good.
Really positive. That was cool to go through and see everyone's positivity. This is not easy, but it's nice knowing that we have support from all of these people in the community.
And there are a couple people that are actually closely located to where
Yeah.
we're moving. There's some that are like 15 minutes away. There's some that are like half an hour away. And they're good people who I'd love to be around and to have my kids around. So that's really cool, too, that we have people there that we know or that I know because it's your hometown. You know people still. But there's people there that I know that I can spend time with and see and visit and catch up. So that's going to be nice.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
All right. So as of right now, recording, we have 7 showings scheduled, which I think is kind of cool. Just knowing that many are scheduled this quickly.
Well, I think what's cool is the way that we're doing our showings.
Oh, yeah.
So,
the COVID. Explain that.
Well, we're not doing an open house on the weekend because COVID-19 and, safe protocols. And it's really cool that our realtor was like, I also don't want people to just be able to come into your home and not follow protocols, not have anything sanitized. So we talked with her and set up a couple days and a couple hour chunks of time when she's going to come, and other realtors can reach out to her and she'll open the home for a showing, and she'll make sure that it's sanitized and they're following protocols and everything. So that's kind of nice because we can just leave the house for a few hours, take the dogs and the baby, and people can come and view the home. And she mentioned, like, the family is still living here. They have dogs and a baby. Like, you can't just come and, like, think that it's going to get sorted out for you. You've got to come at one of the scheduled times after speaking with our realtor. So I'm really glad that we set it up like that because it takes a lot of the planning off of our plates and just says, okay, this is the time. Let's get stuff wrapped up and cleaned up and set beforehand, and then we're out of the house.
Yeah, and that was kind of something I wanted to talk about. Selling a house while you live in the house is quite the task.
Yeah.
Because, we have a child and we have 3 dogs that are just running around causing messes. I mean, our daughter Calliope literally knocked over my diffuser with essential oils 2 times today, took my coffee, dumped it out on the carpet. Like, we live here. This is being very lived in. So just the idea of people being able to come whenever the hell they wanted for showings was putting me on so much edge. So I'm so glad that we have a very specific schedule that has to be kind of stuck to. It is kind of like what would have been an open house on a Saturday that you prep for all week and then you just leave the house and do it.
Yeah.
But it's every day for a few hours instead of like all day.
Yeah, smaller chunks, and she's going to be here just like, a realtor would come and get a passcode throughout the week and say, hey, I want to show my clients that home, but because of COVID-19, it's just a little different.
Yeah. So that has been interesting. Another thing I wanted to touch bases with, people keep asking about what we are going to be doing with jobs. So do you want to kind of tell people what you are doing with the job search and applying and everything?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm staying in education, which it was so cool. I told my kiddos this morning in my class, like, hey, rock stars, like, I'm not going to be with you next year, obviously, because you're going to middle school, but I also won't be teaching at Gurnville School. And one of them was like, I really hope you stay a teacher so that other kids can have you because you're so great. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's such a sweetheart. And then another kid was like, can we get your email so that we can message you and stuff? I was like, oh my gosh, they're so sweet. 5th graders are so nice. But it was cool because I asked one of my colleagues for a letter of rec, and she said, you need to start looking for jobs because the good districts are going to start opening up, or the small districts, are going to start opening up and trying to get the cream of the crop, and you're the cream of the crop, so you need to start applying early. And I was really encouraged by that because I was kind of worried. I'm very much somebody that's like, be where your feet are, and I try to be like, okay, no, like the school that I'm at needs to get every ounce of me while I'm here. But to have somebody validate, like, it's okay to look for a job to protect your family was nice. And so I have applied to a couple different jobs. I've applied to a physical education job because I do have a secondary credential in PE. I applied to multiple subject teaching positions within that same district that the PE job is open. And I've applied to a 6th grade position at another school. And I did those all on Friday when they opened, or when I got all of my stuff prepared and submitted. So I'm sure more jobs will open up. I'm encouraged that jobs are already opening up. I have spoken to the football coach at your old high school, and he's great. He actually emailed me today, or messaged me, the link for their football game that's this Friday night, because they're going to be live streaming it. And he was like, hey, just in case you wanted to check out the game. I was like, oh man, that's awesome. Like, I can't wait. So there's definitely job opportunity and things that I'm looking forward to, and that's exciting because it makes it, a little bit easier for us. And shout out this new stimulus package, because one of the things that we were super worried about was healthcare insurance.
Yes.
And COBRA coverage throughout the summer before I started my new teaching position. But it looks like COBRA is actually going to be significantly cheaper over the summer while we're in, that limbo stage of bouncing from my insurance at my current employer to my next, which, again, health insurance, I don't know if it should be tied to your employer. That's a little iffy, but we don't need to get on the, the political spectrum of where you fall with health insurance and single payer or whatnot. But anyways, I'm just glad that job opportunities are opening up, because that's another big thing, is having health insurance for you and Calliope and Kennedy. So, yeah.
And in case anyone needs clarification on COBRA, we've never really done it, but from what we gather, you end a job and you can continue on with that same insurance company, but you have to pay the complete premium instead of the employer paying whatever their contribution was. And so, for example, for our family, I don't know, I think it'd be like $2,500 or something a month without your employer contributing anything. So we had thought, like, okay, it's just for 2 months for us because our
July
insurance,
and August.
Yeah, it goes through the end of June. So it'd just be for 2 months, but that's potentially $5,000 just for insurance to make sure that, and we probably wouldn't even use it. So that's the thing that makes it, that's a huge relief knowing that it might not be that much money. I mean, who knows? We have to really look into the COBRA stuff more, but
yeah, absolutely.
That's pretty cool.
But nonetheless, we saw that it's in the stimulus package, so it's something else that we're going to be doing research on.
Yeah. Okay, so I asked people on Instagram today what they wanted to know about our moving process and everything, and I got some questions from people. But first, I wanted to ask you, and then you can ask me.
Yeah.
What would you do differently if we were to do this all over again? Because there have been so many things that I look back and I'm like, oh my God.
If we would do what differently? Sell our home or our entire world?
If we were in a home sale process again in the future, how would you do things differently?
I don't know. Let me hear your answer and then maybe it'll jog mine.
Okay, my answer goes to the home buying process first. And I would make sure that we landed in a home that we were going to be in for a certain amount of time, because we're getting so many questions about taxes and capital gains and everything. Thankfully, we don't have to pay taxes on any of the money that we're going to get out of this house because we've been here longer than 2 years as our primary residence, which is really nice. So I'd make sure that we were in a place long enough for that, and just that it was an offer that we put in the beginning that we would be able to see it increase. So we bought this house for $51,000 over asking price. And that's because that's how the market was when we bought this house in 2017. It was very, very, very hot. However, because of that, we're only listing the house at $20,000 higher than what we purchased it for. But it was listed at $478,000. And now we're listing it at $550,000. So that was a huge jump over the 4 years.
Yeah.
But we're not making that money because we put so much in over. So I would just make sure that what we put into the house for the initial offer was really going to be worth it in the payout in the long run, if that makes sense.
It does, but I don't know if that's quite like the home sale process. I think that's the home buying process.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that counts, because I actually like what we've done with this home sale. I think we've done a good job managing everything. I think we've done a good job laying out a timeline that's comfortable for us. I think we've done a good job sticking to the budget for things that we needed to take care of. I think we've done a good job with not letting our emotions drive the decisions and letting our heads drive it instead. So I've actually liked what we've done so far. Yeah.
Okay, you're right. It is the home buying process, things I would have done differently. But now I'm on the back end thinking, I would have done things differently in the beginning. I mean, and we wouldn't have gotten this house if we didn't go that far over asking.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is the way that it was then, and that's how it's turning into now. Like, people aren't offering asking price. They're offering significantly over asking price. So you get put in a position where, well, if you want to sell this house in 2 or 3 years, you might not be making as much money.
For sure.
That's also what you get when you buy a house in a hot market.
Yeah.
So you said about our timeline, so that brings me to another question. Why now and why not this summer? Why do we want to sell, like, school's not over yet? Why do we want to do the process now instead of in June? A couple people were asking that.
Well, I think there's a couple different reasons why. The first one being that the spring market is starting to get warm, and so we figured we'll get in right at the start of the market when it's hot and there's more buyers so that we have a larger pool. I also think it's important to mention where we're headed. So we are going to a rental that your mom owns. We are paying fair market value on that rental. Like, we're not, saving a ton of money by moving there on the rental cost. So it's important that we get into that rental soon so that your mom isn't holding it any longer because it's, a source of income for her, and it's important that she fills it with good tenants. So that's another reason that we're moving. And also, we had set this plan when it was looking very bleak that people were going to be returning to school. And once the plan was set, we decided we were going to stick with it, and we'll make whatever work that we need to. If I go back to work here and you guys are living there, I'll come visit, on the weekends, obviously, and my hybrid schedule might allow me to be up there in the middle of the week too. So we definitely have options there, and I think that that's why we're selling now versus the summer. Would you agree? Like, do you think I'm hitting it right there?
Yeah, there were many factors. I do think, however, if we were not pregnant right now with another baby, we might have waited. But
For sure.
We are on a really tight timeline because this second baby the due date is June 4th. So early June, possibly late May. We had to decide, are we going to move before the baby or after the baby?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked a lot about that, and we just decided moving while I'm 30 weeks pregnant sounds a little more fun than moving with an 18-month-old plus a newborn baby.
Yeah.
And
a wife who's recovering.
I mean, yeah, that's just a lot. So that was a one. And then, yeah, my mom's situation right now with her rental, it was perfect timing.
Perfect.
Her tenants have been there for 2 or 3 years or something like that. And they just bought a house.
Yeah.
And so the rental is vacant
April 1st.
April 1st. So that was just perfect timing. We're going to figure out rent, make sure she's just holding it for like a month, and then we plan to move in probably by like May 1st or around there, plus or minus a week. So it'd be good timing.
Yeah, we call that serendipity.
Serendipity. Life is rigged in our favor. That's what it is. More questions about the rental. So since we're on that topic, I kind of want to go there. One person asked, and I got this from many different people and asking in different ways, is the rent more expensive than what it would have been to just go get a mortgage payment right away if we bought a house immediately? And there's a lot that goes into that. So I calculated a little bit. I went onto bankrate.com, and I'm going to put that in the show notes if you want to kind of fiddle with mortgage calculations and rates and everything. This was just off of the going rate that was on Bankrate, and I think it was 3.1% for the interest. But after we pay off all of our debt, we fund an emergency fund, we're going to have about $57,000 left. And if we put that down on, say, a $400,000 home where we're moving, which, by the way, they don't really exist. That's really slim pickings. That's going to be a very tiny house. The market is just really way too hot right now for us to even want to buy. So I just did an estimate on a $400,000 home with $57,000 down, which that's not even 20%. 20% would be $80,000. So that would mean that we'd need PMI. But that estimated on Bankrate to be $1,808, which included the insurance and the taxes, but not the PMI. So technically speaking, buying would be cheaper, but there's a lot more that goes into that.
Yeah, there is. You also have to be approved for a loan, and you are choosing to stay home with the babies. So we'd be living off of one income. We would have to be approved for that loan under my income. So it doesn't matter whether or not we would even want to buy a home. We would have to, have two incomes to be approved, and we're not going to. So that made that an easy decision. But again, like you said, we want to make sure that it's our next home is somewhere we're going to be long term. And right now we're going to go up there a couple years and see what that's like. And who knows? Maybe we come back to Sonoma County. Maybe we stay up there but buy in the suburbs. We don't know yet. We're excited to go figure it out. But because of that, renting is a safe thing to do.
Yeah, we don't know if we want to end up there long term. I think we're going to be happy there, but you've never left. You could end up miserable and want to come back next year.
Yeah.
We have to go to figure that out.
Absolutely.
So technically, renting, we're going to be renting for $2,200. With this math that I just did on Bankrate, it'd be about $300 more to rent than the mortgage. But you have to consider renting is like no strings attached. This just goes to the landlord. Even though it's my mom, still no strings attached. We're signing a lease. This is like legal renter relationship here. So that's $2,200 going to the landlord. We don't have to worry about anything else. Homeowning, whole nother, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You have to pay for a bunch of stuff. So that would be $1,800, but that $1,800 does not go to your mortgage principal every month. So I mean, it's not like you're just sitting there putting $1,800 monthly on a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more complicated.
There's also a lot of costs that come with home buying that aren't related into your mortgage, your taxes, and your interest. Here we have a pest company that comes because we're right on the creek. We have a home warranty because things break down. You have to be the person to fix things when things come up, such as a shower pan failing in a master bath that's going to cost you $12,000. Like, there are things that come up that you have to take care of, and it's significantly easier to rent and put it on your landlord when you need. And we got into poor financial situations because we purchased a little too quickly. I think we did purchase at the right time, but we could have made more informed decisions, and those more informed decisions would have come with a little bit more time. And so because we rushed into it, we put ourselves in out-leveraged positions. So I'd rather not do that. I'd rather take our time, get absolutely in the right spot, and then make it happen.
Yeah, when we moved in, we technically took a decrease. Like, our rent was more where we were living before, and then we moved here, and the mortgage was less. But you got approved for this house without me. And you shouldn't have been approved for that. Just because you get approved for something doesn't mean you can afford it.
Yeah.
Like, that was based off of your sole income when you were a police officer. You weren't even an active duty police officer. You were just in the police academy.
Yeah.
And so you got approved just because they said that you could afford it. But really, technically speaking, you couldn't afford that by yourself.
No.
It needed two people.
Yeah.
And so that's where there's a really fine line. And I recommend anyone who's looking into home buying, just because you get approved for $600,000 does not mean that you need to spend $600,000.
Yeah. All right, so this question's kind of interesting. Somebody said, what has been the most difficult part? And if you listen to the moving episode when we announced the news, I think that it's kind of clear that, like, emotionally, this has been really hard for me. I'm struggling with it. I'm still struggling with it. And I know it's the right move, and I'm struggling with it because my family is all here. And I'm bummed. I'm really bummed to leave them. I love my family so much, and they are what, gives me comfort in life and joy in life. And so it's going to be hard being away from them. But I'm also a creature of comfort and security, and sometimes to grow as human beings, we need to push ourselves out of those zones. And while that's hard, I am excited for the challenge. And I have you and our daughters soon. So I am looking forward to it. But absolutely for me, the most difficult part has been emotionally grieving the picture of what I thought my life was going to look like. It's exciting still, like I said, but it's going to be hard. What about you? What do you think's been the most difficult part for you?
To be completely honest, this has been pretty easy for me, and that stems from, like, what I talked about in the moving episode. I've moved so many times in my life. I've moved over 50 times, 50 times, and I'd be happy anywhere. I would move tomorrow to Houston, Texas. I would move 6 months ago to, I don't know, Canada. Like, I'm able to, sure, I'm sad. Of course, I'm going to miss people, but it's not that deep down sadness you have.
Yeah.
Just because I've done this so many times. And I've also kept tight relationships with people, friends and family, from all over the place.
Yeah.
My whole entire life. I lived in Oregon growing up, and my family was in California or in Reno, and I'd spend time with them from just like a couple times a year, and I still had great relationships with them. So it's actually been very easy for me. It's been hard for me to watch you struggle. That's been hard, and so I want to make sure that you're not pressured to do this. We made this decision in August.
Yeah.
It's now March. We've thought about this and talked about every scenario for months and months, and I do think that you are going to be satisfied with the decision once you actually do it.
Yeah.
But it's been hard because I want to make sure I'd be happy here. Mm-hmm. I'd be happy anywhere. I want to make sure that this is not just what's right for us, but what's going to make you happy and me happy.
Well, you're a very sweet wife.
Well, thanks.
One of my students this morning, when I was mentioning it, I was saying, this is my hometown. It's going to be really hard. One of them said, Mr. Brownwoods, I've moved a lot of times, even in my life. And I kind of feel like I don't really have a hometown. There's not anywhere that I really feel connected like that. And so it was really interesting because I'm like, oh man, like this little guy is like, baby Haley. That probably felt the same. Like I don't really have deep, close connections with the people in my town and stuff. And it was just really interesting to hear a child put that into perspective, even though you've shared that story with me many times that you moved so much. You're not the only one out there like that. So I don't know. I don't want to say encouraged, but I thought that it was interesting that one of my students had that same background as you.
And that kid is okay.
Yeah.
They've done all of this, and they're okay. Sometimes, if I'm being totally honest, I am resentful that I moved that much because I didn't have a home base. But it is what made me who I am today. I'm very adaptable, and I can be put in any situation anywhere on the globe and just figure it out. But that's because I moved 500 million times and switched schools in the middle of the year, and it wasn't easy. But we're not doing that. We're adults, so it's a little different.
Yeah.
And you're so social, you're going to be fine literally wherever you go.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, too, because you love to travel. I'm not a huge traveler.
Yeah.
So maybe that, home base idea, like you said, kind of changes who we are as an adult and what we're into and what we're not.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting how we develop, like, personality traits based off of even stuff like that.
Well, home is where the heart is what they say, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think people could live at Wingstop, but sure. I don't know.
You are too much. Okay, so our last question that people asked is, what did we do to prep the house? And this is really like in depth. I could go really, really into this, but I'm just going to give some bullet points of some things that we did to kind of get things ready.
Cool.
The biggest thing, and our realtor was like, do whatever you want with this. We could have left up all of our pictures and made it more homey, like our house is normally, or we could have depersonalized it. And we chose to remove all of the photos and depersonalize everything only because I think I would have just left it all up if it didn't mean that there were going to be pictures of us and our daughter all over Zillow and the MLS that don't get deleted. So I wanted to make this a just look like a house that anyone could live in. So we decided to take down all of the photos. And normally it is like the living room of Justin and Haley wedding pictures all over. We have so many pictures. It's pretty ridiculous. Like to the extent where I sent the Zillow link to a few people today, my mom and some friends, and they're like, it doesn't even look like you live there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, well, that's what I was aiming for, but it is kind of dark and dreary.
Yeah.
So along with taking all of our pictures off the walls, we just decluttered things as much as possible. And some of that was donating things. Some of it was Justin selling stuff on Facebook because that's like his favorite hobby. And quite frankly, most of it was just shoving a bunch of stuff into the garage.
Shoving is a very poor term.
Justin has worked really hard on the
relocating things.
We moved things, put them in boxes, and put them in the garage.
Yes.
So we made it look not so
cluttered.
Busy.
Yes.
We also chose not to hire a professional cleaning company because I follow at Go Clean. Because I follow at Glow.
Haley follows at Go Clean Co. on Instagram.
There we go. Okay. Man, if you don't follow them, go follow them.
Yeah.
They make me feel like I can clean anything. Anyway, so we didn't hire a cleaning company because I am the new cleaner. And that means that I cleaned this whole house.
Yes.
You helped.
I was going to say, I definitely helped.
But that has been some work.
It has, but it saved us some money by choosing to do it that way.
Money.
Yeah.
Because we still live here. We still live here with a toddler and 3 dogs. So if we were to hire a cleaning company, we would need a cleaning company before we showed. So we probably would have had to hire one this past weekend. And then we would need one when we move out. Mm-hmm. And they charge by the hour. And I mean, like, we are on our hands and knees scrubbing baseboards and walls and stuff. So it would have been probably thousands of dollars.
Yeah, just not worth it.
So we did it ourselves, and that was, it was work. I put my Apple Watch on open open goal. And I burn all the calories and count them because it's a workout, man. If I'm sweating, cleaning baseboards, it should count.
I agree.
All right, what else do we do?
We got the landscaping done.
Yes.
In the front, and that was cool. So we took down the fence not knowing that we were going to sell, but then once we decided that we were going to sell, we thought, hey, we need to clean up the rest of these retaining wall boards that are there. So we tore the retaining wall down and we hired a company to tear down the retaining wall that was wooden boards and replace it with cinder block retaining wall, and it looks phenomenal. But then we also used that same company to totally do the front of the landscaping to be a little bit more drought resistant, a little bit more friendly during the California fires. Mm-hmm. So they replaced the top section of our lawn with some nice ground cover and bark, and then they've got about a 2-foot span of gravel that has this really nice plant lining with irrigation system filtered in. So it turned out really good. It did cost us a pretty penny. I think it cost about $2,100 after materials and labor. But they do a great job. They did it in a single day. They're tremendous human beings, and it looks beautiful. You can look through the pictures on Zillow, and you'll see that it just looks absolutely great.
I think we have some on Instagram as well.
There you go. Check out Instagram. Yeah.
So the retaining wall, which we did this past summer, was like $2,500 or something. Mm-hmm. Plus, we did the landscaping. So, I mean, if you want to count in the retaining wall, it was a little over $4,000. But the landscaping itself was just around $2,000. And then we I don't even know this number if it's totally accurate. I rounded up, I think. I don't even think we've spent this much. But in regards to like staging and beautifying the house with little like I said, it would be naked if we didn't buy some stuff because we had so many photos of ourselves. So I bought little wall sconces and flowers and stuff.
Clocks and potted plants and
yeah. So I think that was about $500.
I think that's probably a high estimate. I'd say we're probably somewhere between $350 and $400. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because we got plants for the backyard and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also did the pictures for the house, which wouldn't have come out of our pocket. I believe that comes out of the realtor's pocket.
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
When they hire a photographer.
I believe so.
I'm not totally sure. When I have done photographs for people, sometimes it's the people that live there, the sellers, and sometimes it's the realtor that pays me. So I think it might just depend on the situation.
Yeah, the contract between the two.
However, we didn't pay for that.
No.
Because I did it. So that was another thing that we did. Anyway, the prep has been quite a thing. So that's what we did to prep the house.
Yeah, and now it's live.
Oh, and one more thing that we did, which it's not necessarily to prep the house to be sold, but we did this to prep ourselves for the sale process. We did inspections. We did a pest inspection and a home inspection, which from our experience of buying a home, those two things are usually paid for by the person who's buying the house, so by the buyers. Now, the people that buy our house can choose to do their own home inspection and pest inspection if they want to, but we've already kind of covered that for them. So we spent $650 between the two different inspections to get those done to make sure that we really covered our bases and knew exactly what we were getting ourselves into. And we happened to come up on, the shower pan for our shower was failing. We wouldn't have known that had we not done the pest inspection. So that was another thing that we just made a priority to get done before we put the house on the market.
Yeah, and because of that, we came in under market value for the home because we knew that there's a shower pan that needs to get replaced, and they're going to have some front costs on it. So we've priced it accordingly, and it's still competitive.
And now that we know about it, people can't come at us because it's disclosed from the beginning. So they can't come put in an offer and then say, wait a minute, I want to dock $10,000 to $15,000 for your shower remodel or whatever. They know that going in. So that really was just to cover us going into it for everything.
Yeah, so that's basically where we're at with the home buying process. Like I said, or home selling, I should say. Like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be reviewing offers on Tuesday the 23rd. So we're kind of in holding pattern until then. But let's chat a little bit about what is next for the podcast. So we did an interview with millennial financial educator Candace. That was a couple weeks ago. We're going to be airing that episode next week. You'll notice that Tuesday night we're reviewing offers, so we can't really record and edit all next week. So we're going to set ourselves up for some success and just post the interview that we've got. But we do have some other big news that Haley wants to share about where Price of Avocado Toast is going.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things happening in the next really like 3-4 months.
For sure.
We are selling our house. We will be moving. We're going to be having a baby. So we have all of these things that are going to be happening. And I want to make sure that this podcast remains consistent, where we are putting out like high quality episodes and not just like scrambling to put something together last minute just to get something out. So that being said, like you just said, we're going to set ourselves up for success, and we're going to transition into a seasons type of thing. So season 1 of this podcast will be ending on Wednesday, April 28th. That will be the end of season 1. And we will be taking a 2-month hiatus while we move, while we have a baby. And season 2 will be coming back around our 1-year anniversary. So it will be coming back around June 30th. Maybe not that Wednesday, maybe the first Wednesday of July, but somewhere around there. So we will be taking a break for 2 months, but it is not permanent. It is just for a couple months while we transition into these really big things that are happening. We will still be making a podcast. Some people asked, when you sell the house and you pay off your debt, are you still going to be making a podcast? Yes, we will. It will just be different information, because at that point we won't be working our way through paying off debt. We will have already done it. So we will have different things to share with you. So there may be a little pivot happening. Who knows? We're going to have to wait and see how that pans out. But there will be a break happening.
Yeah, it's going to be nice to take a little break, but we're also going to miss everybody. But it's probably good for our family that we actually get settled in the new home and take some time.
And we will still be on Instagram giving updates there.
Yeah,
so if you're
for
not
sure.
following us, follow us on Instagram at the Price of Avocado Toast.
Yes, absolutely. But we're looking forward to what's the saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So, and you're the one that gets to interact on Instagram. So the people are going to miss hearing my voice.
They will.
You're going to have
I'll
to
make
film videos and stuff. Yeah.
You can go back to doing Frank's Friday. What was it?
Frank's Friday Finance.
There you go.
You know why I stopped?
Well, I know why you stopped.
Because, well, the listeners don't know. I don't know. Frank was eating the other dog's poop out of the yard, and when I would pick him up and hold him, he would try and lick my face. And I still don't trust him. We've been giving them pills so that their poop tastes worse, because I guess it didn't taste bad enough. And I just don't know if he still does it or not. I'm not.
He does still do it because. What are those things called on the wall?
Like socket plugs.
Okay, one of those. I was vacuuming today, so I had it on the ground, and he got it, and I picked it up, and there was poop on it.
But he might have been eating something else. Are you sure it was poop?
I'm pretty sure it was poop.
This damn dog.
Anyway, we don't trust him. He Frank.
Gross.
He's pretty gross.
Anyways, that's why we don't do Frank's Friday Finance. So maybe we'll do some other type of videos so y'all can still see me and hear my voice. But nonetheless, we'll be taking a little break to enjoy time with our new baby girl and our new home. Yeah. That's going to do it for this episode of The Price of Avocado Toast. As always, we are so thankful to have had this conversation with you and so thankful to be part of this community. Happy budgeting.
You've got this, Toasties. Thank you for listening to The Price of Avocado Toast. If you vibed with this episode, share it with a friend.
If you're interested in speaking more with the financial coach, hit up our coach Ryan at MeFinanciallyFree on Instagram.